Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'm going to start a series called The Best Commentary on Every Book of the Bible. It's going to be a multi-part series or multi-video series because I'm not going to try and do all 66 books in one video because that would be way too long. So let me briefly explain my approach on my website and in my videos in this video series. I do my best to aggregate academic reviews to determine what is the best reviewed commentary for each book of the Bible. Now, is there subjectivity to that? Yes, definitely. No question about it, which is why I would suggest that you use my website and use all my videos as a starting point to determine what the right resource is for you. I am not trying to have the final word. I'm just trying to offer a helpful word, kind of point you in the right direction. That said, what this series is not is just my personal favorite commentary on every book of the Bible. There would be probably some I would agree with and some that I would disagree with. But what I have done is used academic reviews to try and determine what's the best reviewed out there. All right, so before I get started, feel free to like the video. That helps a lot. Comment and subscribe if you want to. So there'll be more videos coming out in this series shortly. So let's start with Genesis. So the best reviewed commentary on the book of Genesis, according to aggregate academic reviews, is Gordon Wenham's commentary, 2-volume commentary on Genesis in the Word Biblical Commentary series. Now, when I talk about prose for a particular commentary volume, what I'm listing is things that I find multiple times in academic reviews. So, for example, this commentary is well known for Wenham's exegesis of Hebrew. So what I mean by well known is it's found that comments on his exegesis, positive comments on his exegesis, is found in multiple academic reviews by other experts on Genesis. That's what I mean by that. So the prose of this particular volume would be, like I said, the exegesis and the interaction with the Hebrew, other positive review comments made multiple times is his sound theology, and in many places he assumes the historicity of the text of Genesis, which is not real common in modern commentaries on Genesis. So what about the cons? Well, for conservatives, I would say that sometimes Wenham entertains textual criticism and multiple author theories more than conservatives would be comfortable with. He doesn't necessarily argue for them like other commentary authors do, but he does entertain them. He considers them maybe more than some pastors would care to read about, honestly, but more than some conservatives would agree with, I guess you could say. Another con is just the WBC series. Some people just don't like the layout. It's hard to find things sometimes. D.A. Carson famously said that the WBC series challenges your sanctification because it's really hard to find stuff sometimes and you can get impatient trying to find stuff. But anyway, that Gordon Wenham is definitely the best reviewed commentary on Genesis. Exodus, Douglas Stewart. Now, this aggregate rankings would be pretty close for the book of Exodus between Douglas Stewart, Peter Enns in the Nivak series, and Brevard Childs in the Old Testament Library series. But this is definitely the conservative choice among the three. Douglas Stewart is definitely the conservative choice. He teaches at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary, and written other really well-reviewed commentaries as well. So the prose, in other words, what do the positive academic reviews on this volume say about it? First of all, his writing is really clear. It's one of the things I love about Douglas Stewart the most, too, is his writing is really, really clear. His commentary on the Minor Prophets in the WBC series, it's just so easy to understand. And he doesn't forsake depth in exegesis in order to write in a clear way. Sometimes one is exchanged for the other, but not necessarily in this case. Another strength that many reviewers note is that this is an excellent volume for pastors or teachers and preachers who are looking to make the text relevant to today and don't necessarily want all the interaction with modern scholarship. For instance, this volume is praised. So that would be one of the cons. Multiple reviewers say that there's not a lot of modern interaction with modern scholarship. It's not that technical. So if you're looking for a commentary on Exodus that checks those boxes, this is probably not going to be your first choice. All right, number 3 is also from the WBC series, and it's Leviticus by John Hartley. He taught at Azusa Pacific University, and he's written other commentaries as well. I also think he's a good writer. I read one of his other commentaries straight through. I think it was Genesis, and I really enjoyed it. So the pros for this volume would be the exegesis of the Hebrew, the conservative theology. Multiple reviewers, academic reviewers, noted the conservative theology, that conservatives are going to be generally pleased with what they find in here. And it's really thorough. It's got to be one of the most thorough, over 500 pages in length, commentaries on Leviticus written by an evangelical Christian. Cons is that multiple reviewers said that pastors might want to start somewhere else, because Hartley can get a little technical in this volume. It gets a little bit in the weeds for those who are looking to, they're working on sermon preparation or something like that. So this might be a good supplement to something that, has more of a ministry focus. Yep. So that's Leviticus. Let's move on to Numbers. Before I do that, let me just tell you that I have a page. I made a page on my website that lists all 66 books, all 66 commentaries, the best reviewed commentary on every book of the Bible on one single page. I'll put a link in the description down below. So if you want to jump ahead in the series, not as a video, but just to see what commentaries are number one, go ahead and follow that page and you'll find it. All right, the book of Numbers. What's the best reviewed commentary on the book of Numbers? It is Gordon Wenham, again, who also wrote the Genesis volume. So I have read this one cover to cover, and that's mostly because this series is, you can do that with this series. This is the Tyndale Old Testament Commentary series. And this series is great for pastors or Sunday school teachers. I think would have no problems keeping up with it. It's not too long. It's about 270 pages in length. So the reviewers praised it for pastors, teachers, and preachers, praised it for the church. It is not technical, so if you're not looking for that, I guess that would be a pro. If you are, maybe it's a con. And really solid theology, similar to the Genesis commentary. The cons would be it's shorter, so it just kind of depends on your purposes. Maybe you like the how long it is, and maybe you don't. But some mentioned that even for pastors, it might need a supplement, another commentary to go along with it. Another said it's less meaty, it's less exegetical. That it's definitely less exegetical than his Genesis volume. So kind of just depends on your purposes. But that is the best reviewed commentary on Numbers. Deuteronomy, the best reviewed commentary, comes from the Apollos Old Testament Commentary series, and it's by J.G. McConville, who teaches at, now I have to say this word again, University of, I think it's Gloucestershire? It looks like Gloucestershire. I think it's Gloucestershire. I always do that when I have to say that name. All right, so the pros is its depth. If you're looking for a technical commentary on Deuteronomy, well, parts of it are technical. So this project, I'll call it, started with McConville's dissertation. So if you've ever read a dissertation before, you know how what the reading level of those are, which is not necessarily, you know, a layperson reading level. It's not to say that there's nothing helpful to pastors in this volume. I think that there is. This explanation sections that occur in every passage are helpful. But pastors might have to read through a lot more of it until they find something helpful for ministry purposes. So kind of depends on your purposes, whether its depth is a pro or a con. Another pro is it's generally conservative, very thorough. Cons, yes, okay, I'm just looking at my notes here. Its depth will challenge some pastors. And it has less theological and application help. So it just kind of depends. If you're a pastor and you want to use this volume, I think it would be helpful, but you might sense the need to look for something that helps you make another resource that helps make the text relevant to today. So let me show you 3 other commentaries from this section of the Bible that I like. That's the books over here. And before I do that, I'm going to put another link in the description box where a page where I created the top 50 series, Bible commentary series. So the top 50, I have them ranked in tiers of 10. So if you want to see the top 10 commentary series, and then the whole page has the top 50 commentary series, all on one page. I'll put a link in the description down below as well. So I'll kind of do these out of order here. So just as far as me personally, this is one that's helpful, I think, to Deuteronomy. If you're looking for one to supplement the McConville volume, this might be a good one. Daniel Block, I really like his writing. And of course, this commentary series is really helpful for pastors. It's really helpful to the church because it has a focus of making the text relevant to today and applications, theological reflections, and things like that. So if you're looking for a Deuteronomy volume along those lines, I personally have found this one helpful. Numbers. So I do really like the Wenham volume. If you want kind of something to step up from that, one of my personal favorites is Timothy Ashley. Now, this is the 2nd edition. It just came out. I think it came out last year. But if you get the older edition, that's perfectly great. That will be very beneficial. So this reads, it's, in my opinion, I think all pastors would find it easy to understand and helpful. So that's why I personally have benefited from it. But with all of these books, Genesis through Deuteronomy, if there's a commentary here that I haven't mentioned that you really like, just feel free to leave a comment down below. I hope that will happen. Another Genesis volumes is also 2 volumes that I really like. I do like Wenham personally, but I really like Kenneth Matthews as well. It's a lot of depth to it, but I've always found these volumes helpful. So just a couple of other. So I just kind of end on 3 personal suggestions to kind of go along with the aggregate academic reviews. Okay, I will see you in the next video.